did you talk to Mike? Did you talk to Mike? And I was like, no, I'm at a wedding. And I was like, oh, I better talk to Mike because he's gonna be at this wedding. I was like, okay, now I look like the person who's like not paying attention. I'm not, you know, doing what you're supposed to do as far as a singer and all the things. And so I was like, I'm gonna call him before, and then he was like, well, I'm gonna be there. I'll just talk to you when I get there. So here we are, we're sitting at this wedding, and I'm like, what is going on? Why is everybody reaching out to me? Did something happen? And he said, did you listen to the song I sent you? And it was a song that we have coming out. It's called 21 Days. And I said, no, I listened to it one time through, but I wasn't really quite sure what I was supposed to be listening for, because we'd already recorded it. He said, did you notice anything? I was like, I mean, there was some stuff on the BGVs, but I don't know. And he was like, okay, well then let me just go ahead and tell you. And I was like, what? And he's like, I was out in LA working with my friend Justin Timberlake. And I showed him your song, 21 Days, and he fell in love with it, and he sang the background vocals on it. So, secret, don't tell anybody, but that moment was like massive to me. I was like, holy cow, I've listened to Justin Timberlake since I was 6 years old watching the Mickey Mouse Club. So that was really special.
I thought you were going to say Selena Gomez, because she loves You Say.
Yeah.
And have you had interaction with her? So do you feel like you have to watch Only Murders in the Building?
Okay,
now?
I fell in love with that first season. I was hooked. I was like, what in the world? It's so good. No, that writing between the Martins, Martin Short and Steve Martin, impeccable. Like, it is some of my favorite writing. Anyway, they improv half the time. That's what's so brilliant. Anyway, but I met Selena. She came to my LA show, and we got to sit. She came backstage, and we actually got to talk and just actually hang out like people, which was really, really special. Not like artists introduce artists and that whole thing, but just like, oh, let's just come into my dressing room. Let's just hang out for a bit, which was really sweet. She's great.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about the next song.
Okay, so this next one, it's one that I treasure so much. I wrote it with someone by the name of Ellie Holcomb, and she is, if you don't know her, she is like Nashville's little treasure. She's incredible, but look up her music. Her name's Ellie Holcomb. Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors, that's her family. And so I was in LA at the time, and she was flying to meet me in LA, and she received this email from a little girl who was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and she was facing the end of her life. And in this process, the little girl reached out and was like, hey, I just have these questions. Your music has helped me out. She sent this to Ellie. Your music has helped me out, but I have a lot of questions about life. I don't really know what I'm facing. And if you've ever been in that scenario, then you might be the only person in this room that could answer this little girl's questions, because they were so profound. They were so big. It was something that we couldn't, as people who can walk on this planet just day in and day out, who isn't facing the end of their life, we couldn't answer. It was profound. I've never heard a child think the way that this little girl thought. And it was because of all the hardship that she had already experienced. It's like time caught up in a way. And so here she is asking these questions, and Ellie became unraveled, and she didn't really know what to do, but she said, all I know how to do is offer a song. And so she wrote majority of the song in the plane on the way, and then when she landed, we finished it together. And it's basically just a prayer and a kind encouragement, if you will, for someone that was nearing the end of their life. It's called Be Okay. You're gonna be okay. okay. Not a care in this whole world can take that truth away. Oh, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be alright. My darling, you're gonna be alright. At the end of all our breath, when we're beckoned on to the light, love will meet you there. You're gonna be alright. Oh, the end of all our breath is the beginning of new life. Oh, you're gonna be alright. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so amazing, Lauren. You really are. Just inspirational, and I think it's easy for people to see the Grammys and the Billboard and all the awards, but not realize the road that you had to take to get to that point. You know, looking back on your career, I feel like we hear a lot in the entertainment industry. You hear 1,000 no's to hear one yes. And I'm just curious, you know, after researching, just seeing your journey and even doing American Idol, and maybe it not panning out the way that you thought it would in that moment, but looking back on it, how did you not let the no's deter you from what you feel like was your calling in life?
Yeah, oh, I love this. So it's really fun because fast forward, I've got to go back to American Idol and like mentor contestants and be a part of their finales and things like that. So it's still the same people that were there like producing the show when I was there. And I'll never forget it. I looked at Simon Cowell back when he was on the show and I said, tell me why I didn't make it. I was like, this is the moment you get to be mean, you get to tell me all the things you hate about me, just go for it. And he looked at me and he said, there's just not enough spots. And I was like, no, come on, tell me why. And he was like, no, really, there's just not enough spots. I said, but there was enough spots for 24 other people and I wasn't one of them, so tell me what the deal is. And he said, just come back next year. So I went back next year and the next year, and all 3 times I got, well, 2 of the times I made it to Hollywood and then got cut at the end of Hollywood. And then one of the times I didn't even make it to Hollywood, I had the flu, couldn't sing. And so I just remember getting over the end of that season, and my mom looked at me, and prior to that season I was at home. I was placed on homebound for an illness I had for 2 years, and that was during during high school, right before college, which was when I started really watching American Idol. I would sit there with my dad every night, and American Idol would end, and then for 2 hours I'd go in my bathroom and I would just practice and practice and practice. And then my mom called our church choir director and said, listen, my daughter sings all the time. I don't know if she is any good or not, but you could put her on the back row, just give her something to do, please, for the love. And so I went and I sang with the church, and I remember telling the choir director, I will scrub your toilets in exchange for voice lessons. And so I became his maid, and I literally would clean his house. I'm not kidding, I'd be sweating, scrubbing toilets and stuff, and he's like, this is the C, sing the C. No, you're singing the D, sing the C. Like playing on the piano, and it was so great. I learned how to harmonize and learned a lot in that season. But yeah, so here we are, fast forward, I'm sick, I deal with this illness, and I started getting these dreams and visions about tour buses and audiences. I could see people's faces on different tours and charts and awards, just so many things. And I remember saying, God, if you are real, if this is you showing me this, just let it come to be. Let it come to be. And fast forward, I get the no on American Idol. So I'm thinking, what in the world? And my mom looks at me and she said, you have the opportunity right here. For the rest of your life, you're gonna have to make this decision. But for right now, it's presenting itself. You can either believe the no of man or the yes of God. And so she said, pick your head up and get on with it. And I said, all right, let's do this. And so I went home knowing that American Idol didn't work out. And so I started finding myself all right, I'm just going to sing. And wherever the door opens, that's just where I'm going to go. So I sang in church, and then I sang with this band who, that was really the entry point into getting into music. I sang background vocals on the record, and then the record label called them and said, hey, we want to host this indie artist retreat. We want you to come and showcase your music to us, aka we want to figure out if we want to sign you. I had no idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, a trip to Seattle, I've never seen the mountains, let's do it. Because I'm from Louisiana and it's as flat as it can be. So I was like, mountains, yes, let's go. They had one more spot. They said, we have one more spot opened up if that girl who's singing on the backgrounds wants to come up with you guys. So I went and I sang with that band. Well, the morning of the showcase, the lead singer of that band had to get an emergency appendectomy, and they said, can you step in and sing lead for this song? And I said, yeah, sounds great. And then I got signed off of singing that one song. And so it's just amazing. Like, you never know where your journey will go. You'll never know what doors God will open or close, or where you'll end up in life. But I just remember having those visions so clear when I was a kid and thinking, man, I'm either losing my mind with cabin fever, or this is gonna turn out to be something pretty miraculous, and it became the latter.
So you had visions of tour buses back then, and in a few weeks you're going to be very familiar with tour buses again.
Yes, I'm so ready.
If you don't know, Lauren will be back in Ohio, in Columbus, at the Schottenstein Center, October 28th. So tickets where you usually get tickets, Ticketmaster.com. And I think I know where we're going next with this next song.
Yeah.
It is a song that we've heard on Q104 for the past few months now. And this album, which I just found out is a two-part album.
Yes.
So the second part of Lauren's album comes out September 8th. Was this, from what I understand, was this the most difficult album for you to put together personally?
It was, I would say, it was a combination of the best and difficult. The difficulty, I got mono while I was making this record. That wasn't fun. But the difficulty lied in trying to figure out how to write a record after the pandemic, after what we had experienced all together as a people. It took me out. I remember thinking, man, the animosity in the world at the time and how much tension there was. I just remember thinking, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing music. Like, what if there's something more I should be doing? Or what if there's a way to help in a different way? I feel like a lot of people probably had that moment where they were sitting at home by themselves for a while thinking, all right, should I make a life change? Should I make a career change, you know? And I was one of them, thinking, I don't know if this is it. Not because I didn't love it. My gosh, I loved it with every fiber of my being. But I remember just thinking, I don't know if it's enough. And I grew up surrounded by music, right? But every person that did music that I grew up around, it wasn't for commodity. It was for passion and just the heart and soul of being able to create something. And I felt like, I don't know if I can go into that place again because so much had changed in my life. And so I remember dealing with a lot of fear, a lot of intimidation around writing again. And I told my manager, I don't know, now that the pandemic has hit, what happened was we were on a world tour, and we had just finished the Australia leg, we had just started the North American leg, and everything shut down. And it wasn't like, oh, I had a busy life and then all of a sudden it just came to a screeching halt. It was like a car crash. It was like whiplash. And I remember being so overwhelmed with like panic and anxiety and trying to figure out how to acclimate not only just to like regular life, but to this really strange life that we had. It was like we were already not living a normal life. To come back to normal would be hard, but then some, right? And so I felt like in that process, I told my manager, I just don't know if I'm doing this again. And she said, okay, well, you need to tell me because we got a lot to figure out if you don't. And I said, there's only one person that I can start writing with, and if it goes well, then I'll keep going. And it was this guy by the name of Jonas Myron. And I went to LA and we wrote, and it was like my heart began to open up again. And I had this one writer look at me every day, and she would say, her name is Natalie Hemby. She's a legend of a writer. Go look up her repertoire. But she would look at me every day and say, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? what do you want to say? And when you have like a platform that you have to, uphold, I felt completely voiceless at that time. I felt like, I don't know if there is anything that I can say that's worthwhile. And through a lot of